Hey everyone, welcome aboard. This is Six Path Weeb, and you're tuned into the neural core of fan-made realities, where headcanon meets hyperspace. Today's episode is set to warp canon boundaries as we deep dive into an emotionally complex alternate universe. What if Naruko's mind was torn between two lives? Two destinies? One soul? Parallel choices? Conflicting paths? Disclaimer. All anime content featured is strictly for entertainment and thoughtful discussion. I do not claim ownership of any anime footage used. Full credit and rights belong to the original creators and copyright holders. Now that we're synced up, let's dive in and unravel the multiverse, starting now. Naruko leapt from rooftop to rooftop, the village stretching beneath her in silence. Of all days, today was her least favorite, her birthday. Though the passage of time had strengthened her resolve, the day remained a reminder of solitude. She was no longer the unsure, stumbling child from a few years ago. Despite the whispering doubts of others, she had absorbed more from the academy than they realized. The fact that she could elude elite trackers like the Anbu on a regular basis was a testament to her growing skill, or perhaps an oversight on their part, though that seemed unlikely. At just 11 years old, Naruko avoided the larger crowds with precision, instinctively knowing that one wrong glance could compromise her position. Today, people had a tendency to act strangely around her, especially those who'd had a little too much to drink. Yet, in her heart, Naruko loved the feeling of being on a mission. It made her feel like a real shinobi, focused, cautious, and free. But despite her alertness, she couldn't have anticipated what came next. Landing atop a vacant 3-story building, a sudden flash of light illuminated the rooftop, momentarily blinding her. Blinking through the brilliance, Naruko found herself face to face with a figure who looked remarkably like the fourth Hokage. "Well, at least this worked out better than I feared," the man murmured, more to himself than to her. "I had hoped to arrive alone to guide you more directly. But perhaps this way is for the best." His gaze softened as he looked at Naruko with familiarity and quiet sorrow. "Things might feel confusing at first. You might not remember everything, but know this, you're never truly alone." Naruko stared into the man's eyes, searching for deception, but found none. Then, her consciousness faded, and she collapsed without a word. An Anbu operative, identifiable by a mask shaped like a boar's face, discovered the unconscious girl lying atop the deserted structure. With a deep sigh, he gently lifted her and transported her to the Hokage's office. "Hokage-sama," the Anbu said upon arrival. "I found Uzumaki unconscious on a rooftop in Sector 31. The aged third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, sighed heavily. "Thank you, Boar. Please place her on the couch." The Anbu bowed respectfully and vanished in a swirl of autumn leaves. Hiruzen's heart grew heavier with each passing year. "I wish I could do more for her," he thought, "but protecting her too openly would place the village in danger. And that is something we cannot afford." Several hours later, Naruko stirred. She peeked through one eye, then blinked fully awake, taking in her surroundings. Hiruzen noticed the subtle awareness in her movements, the careful way she assessed the room. "Gigi," she called cheerfully, sitting upright with energy. Despite everything, Naruko always found joy in seeing the old Hokage, a figure who had become a surrogate grandfather to her. With a wide grin, she leapt over the desk and enveloped him in a hug. Hidden Anbu flinched, but relaxed as they registered no threat. "Your guards are slipping, Gigi. I got this close before they even noticed," she teased playfully. Hiruzen offered a gentle smile, hiding his astonishment. Naruko had sensed the Anbu and commented on their delayed reaction with pinpoint accuracy. He could no longer ignore that she was growing sharper by the day. Looking toward one shadowed corner of the room, Naruko's face grew serious. "The Hokage is one of the few people who truly care about me. It doesn't matter how powerful he is, don't let anything happen to him." "They've already been reminded of their responsibilities," Hiruzen said, choosing his words carefully. "Now, can you tell me what happened tonight?" "There was a bright flash, and it hurt my eyes. Then I passed out," Naruko replied, leaving out the presence of the mysterious figure. Something told her to keep that part to herself. "You don't need to protect anyone who may have hurt you," the Hokage said gently. "If something was done against the law, justice will be served." Naruko's smile this time was subtle, thoughtful. "It's the truth, Gigi. Most of them were too busy celebrating to even notice me. Are you feeling all right, my dear?" "My head aches a little, but nothing serious. I'll have a doctor come to check on you. I know hospitals aren't your favorite. That's why you're the best, Gigi. Also, I haven't eaten in a while," she added with a sheepish grin. Hiruzen nodded, and a flicker in the corner of the room marked the departure of an Onbu on an errand. Naruko leaned back, thoughts racing. Why do I know all this? I feel like I could perform the Shunshin no Jutsu if I tried. Maybe the man was right, I won't remember everything right away. Hiruzen was watching her with quiet concern. So, how's work been, Gigi? Being Hokage has its moments, but the paperwork makes up most of the job. Hardly time for lunch, or to visit my grandson. Cage Bunshine. Naruko thought absently. That's rough. Still, I'm going to take that hat from you someday. Keep it warm for me. Smart girl, Hiruzen mused. But something didn't sit right. She was acting older. As though knowledge had arrived too early. Then, with a curious glint in his eye, Hiruzen formed a seal. Cage Bunshine no Jutsu, he said, and an exact duplicate appeared beside him. Naruko watched with familiarity, but then pain racked her skull and she blacked out once more. Dash. She awoke in an unfamiliar place. The ground beneath her was shallow water, and the walls were dark, faintly glowing red. Despite the strangeness, it felt oddly familiar, like a dream long forgotten. She wandered aimlessly, instinct guiding her toward an immense presence of chakra. Ahead of her loomed colossal iron bars, so tall they disappeared into the shadows above. You arrived sooner than expected, a deep voice rumbled from within. Naruko stepped closer, squinting to see the speaker. A massive snout, then glowing eyes, and finally, a claw, swift and enormous, lunged through the bars. In a blink, Naruko's hands flew through hand signs, slamming her palm to the ground. An earthen hand surged upward, intercepting the claw and giving her a chance to leap back. The hand crumbled, and the claw receded. How did you do that? The voice asked with amused surprise. Instinct, Naruko answered, heart still racing. Where am I? Who are you? A laugh, low and rumbling, echoed from within. Still unaware, I see. I am the mighty Kurama, the nine-tailed beast. The strongest of them all. Naruko's thoughts swirled. Kurama. The fourth Hokage. The ceiling. Wait, was the fourth Mai? No, I'm just imagining things. Right? The voice cut through her reflection. Too much to handle, little one? Not now, Kurama, Naruko said reflexively, still overwhelmed. Kurama narrowed his gaze. How do you know my name? I don't know, she shouted. I don't understand any of it. Your name, the jutsu, the people I remember but never met, none of it makes sense. I just want it to stop. A gentle hand rested on her shoulder. It's almost over, a calm voice said beside her. The man from the rooftop stood there once more. Who are you? What did you do to me? Naruko asked. You resemble that Hokage, Kurama growled, irritated. As I should, the figure replied softly. I'm his son. It's good to see you again, Kurama. We've been through a lot. It's not every day you face something as dangerous as the 10 tails. Kurama was taken aback. Only the fourth faced that creature. How could this child? Raising his energy, Kurama tried to overwhelm the mysterious man with pure emotion. But instead of fear or aggression, what emanated from the man was powerful, unwavering determination. Just as negative emotions can manifest into intent, the man explained, so can positive ones. Courage, hope, resilience, they can be just as potent. Kurama fell silent, no longer angry, just confused. Who are you? The beast demanded. With a warm smile, the man turned back to Naruko. Naruko Uzumaki, shinobi of the Hidden Leaf. At your service. Naruko's eyes widened as the realization hit her, and then the world faded to black once more. Ha, the older figure said thoughtfully. Didn't know you could feign inside your own mind. Interesting. All right, human. Tell me what's going on, Kurama said, ears flicking with suspicion. He truly wasn't sure what to believe. The same soul echoed from both Naruko's, but the 10 tails? How could that exist without his involvement? Naruko settled into a conjured chair, earning a skeptical look from the great fox. No worries, Fluffy, she said with a soft smile. I'll make it quick since I don't know how much time I've got. The 10 tails was revived by an Uchiha who claimed to be Madara, but it was really Obito. She lifted her hand to gently interrupt any protest. I know how strongly you feel about Madara, and Uchiha in general, but please, this is important. We were once on good terms. I won't get into all the details, but I released you, and instead of turning against the world, you decided to work with me. We became companions. A low grumble cut her short. I get it. You're frustrated, and honestly, you're allowed to be. But anger and resentment aren't the same. You're ancient, Kurama. Don't turn that anger on a child who just turned 11. If it helps, your siblings turned out to be quite remarkable too. Anyway, she continued, the 10 tails became unstoppable. Even with just a fragment of the 8 tails and a small portion of your energy, it overwhelmed everything. It was the entire world against Obito, Madara, and the 10 tails, and the world wasn't prepared. Naruko leaned forward. As a final attempt to give the future a chance, I created a sealing technique, powered by your energy, to send me back in time. It didn't go as expected, she admitted. Your chakra altered the mechanics of the seal, it sent me to a point where our energies harmonized perfectly. Kurama looked genuinely baffled. He couldn't see everything from within Naruko, but from what he remembered, she wasn't particularly scholarly. How did he motioned toward the unconscious younger Naruko, become as knowledgeable as you? Naruko chuckled. Becoming a sealing master takes a lot of study. Endless scrolls and late nights. I remember one time Shikamaru. Kurama cleared his throat pointedly. Right, time limit, she sighed. I showed up the night she was born. You were released from our mother, and I existed in the background, able to observe, but not truly present. I don't fully understand it, but tonight, my soul materialized in front of her. Kurama's voice lowered. Assuming I believe you, what happens now? She'll inherit all of my memories, Naruko explained. And with that, her unique abilities will awaken. But she'll need help. I only made it as far as I did because I had friends, true, loyal ones. Without them. She trailed off, then looked up at the massive fox. Having one more friend couldn't hurt. Don't push it. She's weak, confused, and hardly worthy of being my host. That stung, but Naruko kept her calm. She's lonely. Frightened. She hides behind laughter so she won't be isolated completely. Kurama's tail twitched. She could unlock my power and show this village her strength. They'd never doubt her again. Naruko stood, eyes steady. She'll be your friend when you're ready. I know her, and I know myself. When that day comes, we'll help you let go of your resentment. You deserve peace, too. Kurama closed his eyes and rested his head upon his paws. Leave, human. Take the child with you. Naruko gently picked up her younger self and walked away through the mindscape, unaware of the peaceful smile that spread across the great fox's face. Elsewhere in the mindscape. Young Naruko stirred groggily. Gigi. I had the weirdest dream, she muttered, until she saw her older self watching her intently. She jumped back in surprise. I don't have long, the older Naruko said seriously. Things will make sense once your mind finishes integrating my memories. It won't happen all at once, some things will only come when you truly need them. Her hands began to shimmer and fade. I wish I could tell you more. Just trust your instincts, believe in your friends, and remember, our parents loved us more than anything. Young Naruko shot to her feet. Who were they? Please, why won't anyone tell me? Older Naruko's expression softened. You carry our mother's surname. Follow that. As for our father, he's been your source of comfort in hard times. Her form now nearly vanished, the older Naruko smiled gently. This last headache will be tough, but it's worth it. Goodbye, Naruko. Naruko clutched her head, a sharp pain overtaking her senses. Her cry echoed through the mindscape, reaching even Kurama's chamber. At the Hokage's residence. Naruko sat up abruptly, hands gripping her head. The doctor examining her stumbled back in shock while Hiruzen's eyes narrowed. What did you do? The Hokage asked sharply. Before the doctor could answer, Naruko spoke through gritted teeth. It wasn't him, Gigi. I met my tenant. The Hokage's eyes widened before lowering in regret. I'm sorry, Naruko. I planned to tell you everything when you became a Genin. I want to forgive you, Gigi. But when I asked why they all hated me, you said you didn't know. I had to find the answer on my own. Do you at least know who my parents are? Hiruzen looked weary. I do. But it's not safe to tell you just yet. When I'm certain you're strong enough, I promise to explain everything. Naruko, already feeling the influx of memories, decided not to press further. Okay, Hokage-sama. Thank you for being honest with me now. The old man winced slightly at the formal tone, sensing her shift in perspective. But, Naruko added with a sly smile, if you treat me to all-you-can-eat ramen, I might forgive you sooner. Hiruzen laughed softly. Tomorrow, as much as you want. Yada. Naruko's apartment. Naruko slept restlessly, her dreams a blur of past and future. She awoke at dawn, dressed, and skipped breakfast. Her thoughts raced. If I'm going to make Gigi's wallet cry today, I need to bring my best. With a breath, she vanished in a body flicker, reappearing atop the fourth Hokage's head. I did it, she exclaimed. I'm incredible. She repeated the feat a few more times, thrilled. She looked down at the village and then at the solemn face beneath her. Hi there, Yondaime. I guess I'm your biggest fan. Weird stuff's been happening lately. I know what you did, and I understand. But why me? She took a deep breath. I wish you could tell me one day. It's been tough. The wind blew gently, ruffling her hair. To-san? She whispered. As the sun rose over the horizon, she was bathed in golden light. I have so much to share with you. Dash. Later, at the Hokage's office. Naruko bounced excitedly. Are you ready, Gigi? I'm starving. I trained, did my usual pranks, and... Naruko. Hiruzen interrupted. This is just a shadow clone. The original is waiting for you at Ichiraku's. Nani? She gasped before vanishing without a hand seal. Catching her is going to be even harder now, an Anbu commented. Dash. Ichiraku ramen. Naruko appeared in her seat before Hiruzen could blink. Let's go, Gigi. I'm ready. Wait. How did you sneak past me? A ninja never reveals her secrets. She smiled cheekily. And besides, I'm not officially a ninja yet. You're cleverer than most realize, Naruko, he replied, smiling warmly. Yo, Tuchi Gigi. I plan to wipe out your entire ramen stash today. One of each, keep 'em coming. Tuchi beamed with pride while Ayame watched in astonishment. A crowd formed as Naruko began her feast. Even for a non-Akamiki, her appetite was legendary. By the final bowl, Tuchi had to hire a helper just to keep up. Naruko leaned back, content. You're forgiven, Gigi. I'm beginning to wonder if it was truly worth the trouble, Hiruzen murmured thoughtfully. He had already sent a shinobi to the Uzumaki residence to retrieve additional funds to support Naruko's self-assigned endeavor. Naruko turned to face the gathered crowd, her expression calm yet assertive. Let this serve as a message to everyone, anyone who mistreats me in the future will have to face the consequences of their actions. Upon hearing these words, Tuchi collapsed from shock, and Ayame began excitedly sketching plans for a larger ramen stand. Several bystanders quickly dispersed, causing a few hidden Anbu to quietly chuckle behind their masks. Thank you again, Grandpa, Naruko said warmly, embracing Hiruzen. I've got some things to take care of. I'll see you later. With that, Naruko vanished in a swirl of leaves. As she moved through the trees, Naruko gently placed a hand over her abdomen, where the intricate seal lay. Though she hadn't even studied it closely, she could sense its structure, its layers, its energy. The detailed configuration of the seal and its components seemed to flow through her understanding naturally. How do I even know all this? The answer came to her as soon as the question formed. It was the unique hereditary ability of the Uzumaki clan, an innate affinity for sealing techniques that transcended ordinary knowledge. Naruko's behavior had recently puzzled the Anbu who had been tasked with monitoring her. Her usual light-hearted antics and harmless pranks, though exasperating, were oddly comforting, signs of her normal self. But a meditating Naruko? That was unusual. Even in sleep, she was rarely still. The cat-masked Anbu member saw this shift as both a mystery and a concern. Suddenly, a plume of orange and purple smoke burst into the sky above the village. Code Orange. We have a Code Orange. Came a hurried voice over the Anbu communicator. That's not possible. I have visual confirmation on Uzumaki right now, Cat replied quietly. Then, over the link, another agent was cut off by an unmistakable voice yelling. You'll never catch me, Databayo. Ha ha ha. Cat immediately used the body flicker technique and appeared behind the seemingly meditating girl. She approached silently, not wanting to disrupt Naruko's focus. But as she came around, she noticed Naruko wasn't breathing. Alarmed, she shook her gently. Her head tilted back unnaturally, it was a life-size plush toy. Shock turned to disbelief, and disbelief to sheer frustration as the dummy exploded in a harmless burst of orange paint. Narua Tuu, she cried out, her voice echoing throughout the village. Back in the Hokage's office, the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, allowed himself a small smile upon hearing the familiar shout. Entering his office, two Anbu operatives vanished into the shadows. Hiruzen glanced at his desk and noticed a scroll bearing an unfamiliar seal. One of the Anbu appeared beside him. What do you make of this? The Hokage asked thoughtfully. It's a seal, Hokage-sama, the Anbu replied carefully, though his voice betrayed uncertainty. I'm knowledgeable in sealing arts, but this one is unique. It resembles a blood seal, but includes unfamiliar components. Hiruzen nodded, already suspecting as much. Without waiting for objections, he pricked his thumb and pressed it against the seal. The symbols shimmered and realigned themselves into clear words. Gigi, Training Ground Zero. Though cautious, Hiruzen recognized the chakra signature. It felt like Naruko's. Still, it left him unsettled. Boar, you're coming with me. Crane, remain here with my clone. With that, the Hokage created a shadow clone to handle the mountain of paperwork and left in a swirl of leaves. Crane lingered, thoughtful. Whoever placed that scroll had bypassed multiple security layers, an impressive and concerning feat. Outside a large, concealed training field, the Hokage stopped and turned to his escort. Wait here. If I'm not the one who returns first, follow the usual protocol. Yes, Hokage-sama. Hiruzen stepped through the barrier and found Naruko waiting patiently. She looked calm, even serene. It was jarring. Naruko? How did you even get in here? And that seal in my office? Gigi, I know you have questions, she interrupted gently. But let me explain first. I promise I'll answer everything afterward. Seeing the seriousness in her eyes, Hiruzen nodded. First off, I am Naruko Uzumaki. I'm not an imposter or working for anyone. I have no intention of harming anyone or betraying the village. What I'm about to tell you needs to be kept completely confidential, S rank level, at least. The Hokage's eyes narrowed. He didn't speak, but his expression urged her to continue. I met myself, she said slowly. My future self created a unique seal to come back in time. But two identical souls can't exist in the same place for long, so her soul merged with mine. I now carry her memories, and through that, my bloodline abilities awakened. Hiruzen was astonished. A future version of Naruko? A Kekkei Genkai? The implications were staggering. That's hard to believe, Naruko. I thought you'd say that. So let me show you. She formed the familiar cross-shaped hand sign, and two shadow clones appeared. Together, they formed a glowing sphere of chakra, the Rasengan. Hiruzen was speechless. The technique belonged to the fourth Hokage. Are there more surprises, Naruko? I'm not sure my heart can take it. Naruko smiled. A few more. My Kekkei Genkai comes from my mother's side. The Uzumaki clan were seal masters because of it. My abilities have three parts. First, I can see any seal, even hidden ones. Second, I can understand the seal's function just by sensing it. And third, I can create seals without writing them, though I'm still working on that. The Hokage listened in silence, genuinely impressed. I'll support your training. In fact, a seal master will be arriving soon. He might be able to help. You mean Jiraiya? You know of him? From future memories, yeah. After a thoughtful pause, Naruko spoke again. Gigi, there's something else. During the next Chunin exams held in Konoha, something really bad happens. I don't want it to repeat. Hiruzen straightened. What kind of bad? A powerful rogue ninja plans to cause chaos. He targets Sasuke with a cursed seal. You get hurt. It's a major turning point. Hiruzen was deeply troubled. Such an event during a diplomatic occasion would be disastrous. We have time now. We can prepare, Naruko said firmly. Start training again. Let your clones handle the paperwork. Recall Lady Tsunade and let her lead the medical corps she once dreamed of. Once it's running smoothly, she can succeed you. Tsunade would refuse. And the council? Gigi, you're the Hokage. The council can only advise. They can't override you unless it's unanimous and during peaceful times, with the daimyo present. The Hokage raised an eyebrow. You read the Konoha legal charter? More like my future self did, Naruko replied. You've dedicated your life to this village. Don't let the council slow you down now. Hiruzen stared at her in amazement. You're a wise young woman, Naruko. Wisdom comes from experience, not age. She continued. After gaining these abilities, I found seals placed on me. One was a containment seal for a letter from my mom. Another seemed designed to cloud my thoughts a little, nothing too serious. One may have even affected my physical growth, but it accidentally acted like a training weight. Hiruzen released a sudden wave of chakra in response to this revelation. Naruko stepped back slightly. Apologies, he said, calming himself. You've endured more than most. I'll make sure you're protected. Naruko chuckled. I've already dealt with them, Gigi. The most dangerous one was an incomplete loyalty seal. If it had been finished, it could have let someone influence me using the Nine Tails chakra. But luckily, it wasn't. Do you know who placed it? Not yet. But if I see another seal by the same person, I'll recognize the pattern. Everyone has a signature. Anything else, my girl? That's everything for now. But I agree with you, this should be a double S rank secret. Then it shall be, the Hokage said firmly. None of this leaves this room without both our consent. Understood, Hokage-sama. As Hiruzen looked at her, Naruko, the future of Konoha, he couldn't help but feel both hope and awe. You're going to become something extraordinary, Naruko Uzumaki. Perhaps even the next guardian of the leaf. Shikamaru and Choji crested the small hill where they often went to watch clouds. Choji was the first to notice the blonde-haired Uzumaki girl, Naruko, lying in the soft grass with her hands behind her head, a peaceful smile on her face. Hey Naruko, Choji greeted cheerfully, speaking between mouthfuls of snacks. I can already tell this is going to be complicated, Shikamaru muttered with a sigh. What brings you here, Naruko? Taking a break after another one of your adventures? Nope, Naruko replied contentedly. Just enjoying the day. Shikamaru gave her a skeptical glance before lying down beside her, mimicking her relaxed pose. He exhaled slowly and sat up again. This doesn't make sense. You're usually bouncing around like you're full of sugar. He's not wrong, Choji added, nodding. You're probably the most energetic person I've ever met. It's all about balance, Naruko replied. The two boys looked at her curiously. She turned to Choji. You know how much I love ramen, right? Choji nodded immediately. If I wanted to get into better shape, what would you suggest about my eating habits? Choji answered without hesitation. Well, first I'd cut down on ramen. A little is fine, but too much isn't good. I'd include more vegetables and fruits in between meals, and eat a variety of proteins and grains in moderate portions. In other words? A balanced diet, Choji concluded. Exactly. Shikamaru groaned. So you're out here to balance. What exactly? He asked. Chakra is a blend of physical and spiritual energy. I train my body all the time, so I figured I should focus on my spiritual energy too. This is the closest I get to meditation, Naruko explained. She didn't like keeping things from her friends, but this was the best way to guide them without revealing too much. You're changing, Naruko, Shikamaru observed. She shrugged. Maybe it's all the cloud watching I've been doing. Shikamaru replied, mimicking Sasuke's usual response. Want to play some shogi? She asked, surprising both boys. Sure, Shikamaru answered. But let's get some training in first. They didn't notice Naruko's subtle smile as she followed. At the Hyuga clan compound, the elders gathered in the courtyard as Hinata and Hinabi stood opposite each other. Hinata was clearly on the defensive, struggling against her younger sister. Many in the audience assumed she lacked skill. In truth, Hinata was holding back, not because of ability, but because she couldn't bring herself to harm her sister, her last tangible connection to their late mother. She dodged Hinabi's precise strikes but never countered. The famed gentle fist technique of the Hyuga didn't resonate with her, and she had never felt fully aligned with it. When the match concluded, the murmurs of disapproval among the elders became audible. Words like unworthy and shameful were whispered with little effort to hide them. Hinata's father, Hyashi, looked on silently, his stern expression cutting her deeper than any blow. That was a good match. A cheerful voice rang out from above. All heads turned toward a nearby tree where Naruko was perched. It's Naruko. And she said I had a good match, Hinata thought, her face glowing red as she nearly fainted. An elder began to snap, but Naruko's sharp gaze stopped him mid-sentence. Please, go ahead and finish that thought, Naruko said with a mischievous smile. I'm sure there are others in your clan who might take your place gladly. Uzumaki Naruko, Hyashi addressed, what brings you to our grounds uninvited? Uninvited? Maybe. But I wouldn't call it an invasion. You entered the Hyuga compound without permission. That could be seen as trespassing. Naruko grinned playfully. Then I suppose I'm now the mysterious visitor of Konoha. Sounds kind of cool, don't you think? Hyashi suppressed a smile. The girl had a way of lightening any situation. Please state your reason before we escalate this. Naruko bowed respectfully, catching many off guard. Her past reputation for mischief made such formality unexpected. I came to watch Hinata's match. That's the honest truth. And by the way, both of them looked great out there. At that moment, Hinata actually fainted. She is weak, an elder murmured, pointing at Hinata. Unfit to carry the clan's name. Before anyone could respond, Naruko had appeared beside him in the blink of an eye, a kunai gently but firmly pressed near his collar. The speed of her movement left even activated Byakugan users stunned. Traces of golden chakra shimmered briefly before fading. Thanks for the help, Kurama. Let me rest, little one. Just don't ever lose that spark. Hinata is one of the few people who has ever shown me true kindness, Naruko said softly but firmly. Choose your next words with care. Hiyashi felt a surge of gratitude toward Naruko but kept his expression measured. Uzumaki-san, this is a clan matter. Please lower your weapon. Naruko respectfully withdrew the kunai. Of course, Hiyashi-san. And by the way, I've actually visited your compound many times, usually once a month. Sometimes for food. Sometimes just to imagine what it's like to be part of a family. Hiyashi was speechless. Meanwhile, Hinata slowly regained consciousness, and Naruko walked over with gentle concern on her face. The reason I made myself known today, she said, turning serious, has to do with Hinata. Naruko's eyes scanned Hinata closely. She sighed. There's something on her, something unnatural. What are you talking about? Another elder snapped. Hinata has a seal, an improperly applied loyalty seal, at the base of her neck, Naruko explained. It was hidden under a second seal, probably rushed. Whoever did it didn't link it properly. My guess? Part of it accidentally attached to me, which may have influenced her feelings. You're saying her emotions aren't her own? Hiyashi asked, concern creeping into his voice. Not entirely. Your daughter is truly kind. We're genuinely friends. But her infatuation might not be natural. The seal's placement, near her brain, could also explain her anxiety, hesitation, and fainting. Can you remove it? Hiyashi asked quietly. Yes, but I'll need a few things. Naruko wrote out a list on a scroll. Hiyashi glanced at it and raised an eyebrow. Ramen? Naruko smiled. Motivation. A branch member disappeared and soon returned with the requested items. Naruko mixed a special ink with her chakra and carefully brushed aside Hinata's hair, locating the hidden seals. With precise, steady strokes, she painted the counter seal. All three seals glowed briefly before vanishing completely. Hinata gasped as if breathing freely for the first time in years. Are you all right? Hiyashi asked, kneeling beside her. Yes, father. I feel different. Lighter. To everyone's surprise, Hiyashi embraced his daughter gently, whispering something that brought joyful tears to her eyes. Naruko turned away respectfully to give them privacy, only to be suddenly struck by an unknown attacker. Shouts erupted around her, but the sounds began to fade as her vision dimmed. Naruko stirred within her mindscape. The atmosphere had subtly shifted since her last visit, though the red tint remained, the oppressive weight it once carried was notably lighter. The floor, once submerged in ankle-deep water, was now dry and solid beneath her feet. She pondered briefly on the shift, curiosity tickling at the edges of her mind, but ultimately dismissed the question. Why bother overthinking it? With familiar ease, Naruko ventured deeper into her subconscious, making her way to the inner chamber where she and her longtime companion, Kurama, frequently trained. While I'm here, I might as well sharpen my focus, she thought. Her steps echoed gently, the once eerie corridors now strangely comforting. Memories of Hinata's recent unsealing danced in her mind. I can't believe I let my guard down, she chided herself silently. Years of caution, of watching every step, and I falter when it matters most. There's still so much to prepare for. She exhaled deeply, her breath steadying her. Oi, Fluffball, I need the usual training, she called with a smirk, amused at the ever-predictable expression of disapproval from Kurama. Go away, future inconvenience. I'm sleeping, the great fox muttered, curling up. I suppose you do need rest, old fox. I've seen fewer wrinkles on tree bark, Naruko teased. As expected, Kurama growled in protest and released a wave of chakra pressure, exactly what Naruko wanted. The experience was invaluable conditioning. If she could handle Kurama's aura, there weren't many shinobi out there who could catch her off guard. The pressure vanished as Kurama lowered his head, feigning indifference. You're welcome, she said brightly. You ancient beings sure need your naps. I'm only 8 who? 8,000? My apologies, ancient sage fox. You were probably around when the world was a blueprint, Naruko giggled as the training resumed. Kurama, though dramatic in expression, clearly didn't take her antics too seriously. After an intense round of energy resistance exercises, Naruko stood, legs trembling but heart light. Thanks, Kurama. I mean it. She turned to leave but paused. Oh, and by the way, I'm working on a few adjustments to the seal. Might allow you to perceive more of the outside world. No promises yet. Kurama blinked in surprise. While Naruko had always been respectful and kind to him, risking interference with the seal for his sake? That was unexpected. I don't care, he grumbled. But they both knew he did, at least a little. Naruko smiled knowingly and began walking off, only to be halted by a sudden surge of chakra from Kurama. I'll break out one day, Kurama growled. Then I'll undo everything you hold dear and make sure you feel regret. Naruko's expression turned calm, quiet, but resolute. I've tried to be your friend, Kurama. I've offered kindness and patience. But there's a line I won't let you cross. Threaten me if you must, but the people I care about? That's where I draw the line. Kurama faltered. There was no malice in her voice, just unwavering conviction. No rage, no violence, only resolve. He stared into her eyes and saw something that made even a being as old as he hesitate, a spirit that could not be broken. With a flick of her fingers, Naruko summoned several illusionary children who cheerfully shouted, Bunny-chan. The fox blinked. Suddenly the illusionary children were hugging him, giggling, dressing him in ribbons and frills. Kurama looked down and noticed something alarming. His tails had turned into a tiny puff, his form now resembling a massive rabbit more than a fox. Change me ba. His protest was interrupted as a little girl wrapped her arms around his neck and squeezed affectionately. He's turning purple. One of them squealed. Naruko facepalmed. Color theory, girls. That's not how it works. Moments later, the outfits and children vanished as she snapped her fingers. Kurama had returned to his fox form and sighed, relief evident. I'll drop by later with an update on the seal, Naruko said warmly. She didn't mock him or claim victory. Her goal was a friendship, not domination. Brat, Kurama grunted. Could you leave the kids next time? Maybe. Less aggressive ones? Naruko giggled. Aw, does big fluffy Kyubi enjoy cuddles? Kurama's growl was met with more laughter as Naruko exited, leaving the fox to rest with only a faint echo of giggles in the background. Dash. Back in the waking world, Naruko blinked as hospital lights came into focus. The sterile white ceiling greeted her, not her favorite view. Her gaze shifted, softening as she saw Hinata asleep in a chair nearby. I love you, Hinata's words echoed in her memory, so full of certainty and kindness. They had once stood together through unimaginable adversity, bound by purpose and loyalty. Naruko wished she could fully return those feelings, but time, experience, and pain had left marks that couldn't be erased overnight. You'd think making the right choices would get easier, she murmured, staring out the window. An Anbu agent perched outside didn't flinch as she noticed him. What's that, Uzumaki-san? The masked figure asked calmly. Choosing what's right over what you want for yourself, Naruko answered. Memories make you wonder sometimes. Those who fail to learn from the past are doomed to repeat it, came Kakashi's voice. Naruko smiled faintly. True. But those who live only in the past might miss the future. You're awfully wise for someone your age. Probably just the hospital meds talking. Kakashi chuckled. How did you know I was there? Asked Gigi. Classified stuff. She tapped her head with a grin. At that moment, Hyashi Hyuga entered. Naruko-san. I'm relieved to see you awake. Please accept my sincerest apologies for what occurred. Hinata, waking up, rushed to Naruko's side. Her demeanor had changed, more confident, more open. The affection was still present, but more familial than romantic. Naruko noticed. Hyashi continued, the individual responsible was under a seal similar to my daughter's. We are still investigating the motive. He is currently staying under Mitarashi-san's care. Naruko winced. I see. Thank you for informing me. You are always welcome at our compound, Naruko-san. A room will be prepared should you ever wish to stay. To-san, can I get a piggyback ride? Hinata asked brightly. No, Hinata. A pause. Then came the puppy dog eyes. And the quivering lip. Hyashi sighed and turned, kneeling down. Just this once. Naruko laughed softly, cherishing the rare sight. As the two Hyugas departed, she whispered, can't wait to tell someone about this. As they left, a camera flash revealed an amused Anbu on the roof. Naruko waved. Naruko returned to training soon after, creating shadow clones for chakra control and ramping up her resistance seal. Later that evening, two Anbu appeared beside her. Danzo-sama requests your presence. No, thanks, Naruko replied lightly. I heard spooky stories about walking alone after dark. This is not optional. As one reached out, he grabbed a deceptively large tag. The agents backed off as it released a vast cloud of smoke. The one who lunged found himself quickly incapacitated by Naruko, while the other fled. Naruko and a clone carried the unconscious Anbu to the Hokage's office, entering through the window. What happened? Hiruzen asked. They tried to recruit me. I decided to bring you one for questions. He won't talk. They're sealed. Not for long, Naruko said with a small grin. She touched the seal, analyzed it, and shifted its function from suppression to expression. Moments later, the seal adapted and the Anbu could now answer questions freely. When asked to explain, Naruko obliged, giving a surprisingly advanced lecture on chakra matrices and seal pathways. Hiruzen and his guards were visibly impressed. Before leaving, she was offered compensation and appreciation. As she departed, an ethereal vision appeared, a vision personal to each observer. I'll never stop being amazed by her, Hiruzen said quietly. His guards nodded in silent agreement. Dear YouTube family. That's all for now. I hope you enjoyed the ride. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, stay curious, stay awesome. Regards. 6 Path Weeb.